So wonderful. Hey, Richa, thank you very much for giving time and coming into this conversation where two coaches can explore a little bit more about coaching and what we do with leaders when we enable them, empower them, or enrich their lives, right? So I'm very happy to be speaking to you, Richa.
Thank you. Thank you, Shriya. Likewise. I'm super excited to be a part of this enlightening conversation with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Richard, before we explore further, this entire series is going to be called The Lamp, Ladder, and Lifeboat. But before we get and explore those metaphors, I would love to understand what metaphors defines you as a coach and your coaching practice.
Hmm. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, how I thought of my coaches or my coach trainers, and that's how I try to be with my coaches, is like a gardener, I would say. And I call myself a plant mom. So I relate with the plants and these analogies and metaphors a lot. So I would like to say that similar to a gardener, I nurture and cultivate the potential within my coaches.
Mm.
I try to provide them the right conditions as you would to a plant for growth, supporting them through their journey of self-discovery and like getting rid of the self-limiting beliefs, etc. So yeah, helping them flourish and thrive into their fullest selves.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, a gardener has a lot of elements, right? Like sometimes, so I've seen, I mean, if I just literally go back to looking at what a gardener would do, sometimes we're looking at the soil, sometimes the growth out of the soil, and so there are different elements to it. But what really do you, what makes you happy, or what makes you feel that, hey, this is I feel fulfilled when I see something, right? So, where does that reside for you, Richa?
When I see their eyes sparkle, or when we discover something, because as coaches, Shriya, we are always in the generative listening stage. So we always see our coaches or clients at their maximum potential, even if they don't see them like that. So and when I kind of work on that gap and make them reach from here to here, is something that nourishes my soul and makes me enlightened.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, as coaches, we believe that we help, help our leaders and coaches discover their light. Right,
Mm,
that's the right now what you said. When they feel,
mm,
when I see the spark, I mean, and that's like a light,
mm.
right? When I see the spark, I get excited and I feel very happy that I'm doing what I'm there to do, right? So, are there some specific experiences where you've seen the shift happen in your coaches with where they get this light bulb or the spark or something? Is there some any experiences you'd like to share, Richa?
Uh, I think a lot of times, Shripriya, it happens that uh, the thing is right there, or they've said things on their own, but still they are yet to discover, and maybe I'm seeing it, but it's taking them time, or they're yet to reach that insight. So I think there's this beautiful way of saying it, and I think you have mentioned it before, like focusing your coach's headlights,
Yes.
uh, right? And it's so interesting because I like to focus, and I focus my coach's headlights by helping them clarify their goals, their priorities, identifying their strengths and weaknesses, and just develop a clear action plan to move forward and with confidence. So there was this one time I was coaching a woman, and as you know, as women we face a lot of barriers and a lot of biases growing up. I'm sure men do too, but being a woman I can talk about myself and other women. So she was trying to re-enter the workforce after a gap of 4 years of maternity gap, and she had lost all the confidence. Whereas I was seeing her to be having so much of potential. So and I think the one thing that really helped her was, I said that this is where you see yourself at the top of the ladder. and we were just going round and round and round, and there was no clarity coming. I'm like, what do the rungs of this ladder look like? And I remember straight coming back to the conversation and straight figuring out, oh, these are the steps. This is where I need to be, and this is what I need to do. Maybe take that course and then, upskill myself, and
Mm.
then forward my resume to so, and then maybe just, simplify things. So I think these simple metaphors and these simple ways are some things that I always find working for myself.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, it's really interesting, right? When they're able to see, when they're able to break it down, because sometimes a lot of people struggle with the big picture, or they feel that it's
Yeah,
something that they are not able to connect with. The relatability goes away with the distance, perhaps, or the height.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And but this is wonderful. I mean, a simple thing where, I mean, being there and being present, listening, and bringing those dimensions for the other person is
Hmm.
really part of this gardener job, right? That we are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Sometimes, Richa, there is, most the leaders and the coaches we work with, they think that the light is extinguished.
Hmm.
They suddenly get into that state. Um, how have you discovered what has extinguished their light?
Hmm. And this is a beautiful question, and you've framed it beautifully, Shriya. I think, first of all, it's disheartening as a coach to see that happening, but I've discovered it happen a lot of times. And but what has extinguished their light is one of my key areas of focus, and I like to discover it by obviously generative listening and actively listening to their challenges,
Hmm.
probing more and more to uncover underlying issues and exploring past experiences, because many times it has a bearing on our present and future, of course. So, on limiting beliefs, I'm a big fan of working with limiting beliefs, and I feel we have way too many to probably even work on. But yeah, whatever I can get my hands on, I love to work on limiting beliefs that may be holding them back.
Hmm.
And additionally, I've also used various assessment tools and techniques to gain insights into their strengths, weaknesses, areas of growth, etc. So I think when I focus on all of these things and bring them to their awareness, it kind of helps me identify what has extinguished their light, and then of course work towards illuminating that.
Wonderful. Richard, you used two words in just what you just shared. One is generative listening, and the other one is all about helping them, reconnect with the self-limiting beliefs that
Mm-hmm.
they're working with, and then helping them to kind of make
Mm-hmm.
it move forward or remove it or etc.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when when you say generative listening, because people are usually used to saying, "Hey, listen carefully, actively listen," and all that. But what's this generative listening all about?
Yeah. So I think it was getting to know this um, active listening or generative listening or third level of listening was one of my light bulb moments in my journey of becoming a coach. And
Mm,
since then, I have always tried to be that kind of a listener. So for me, what it entails, Shripriya, is I listen to identify or to see my client on the elevated potential, or
mm,
to see them at their empowered
mm,
state. So I would probably listen to you, and at the same time I'm envisioning you in your empowered state, because usually people who feel disempowered are the ones who find themselves in a coaching session more often than not.
mm,
So if I'm listening to you and I'm actively listening to you, empathetically listening to you, I also want to take it a level further and connect yourself to your higher or a better potential, if that makes
mm.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense in the sense we are in a way, the conversation that we are part of, if we are able to uh, structure it in a manner that they are
Yeah.
able to see that energy and your vision for them, right?
Absolutely.
In a way, they the intent we would do it with is for them to see that vision. So it's like your mirror, like a coach is like a mirror, right? So I
Yeah.
think that vision and the energy that you're bringing to the conversation, they are able to see it and then take it forward, because they'll have to figure out that potential. We're only helping them, mirroring something to them. And I think that's what mirror neurons, if you look at psychology or neuroscience, etc., right, they
Yeah.
start working.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, going back to the self-limiting beliefs, because all of us, even you and me, sit with it. And one, as coaches, we'll have to, there is a certain sense of transformation that we'll have to bring about within ourselves,
Mm,
this journey.
mm,
But a lot of us sometimes, we can't really nail it down and say I've completely gotten rid of it. There's something or the other
mm,
that keeps coming every day, and in the
mm,
process we also work with others to, as
mm,
you said, to move them from disempowerment to empowerment,
mm,
right?
mm.
Now, what are you discovering, Richa, in terms of saying, what are you seeing? Like we're all in a certain vantage point. So when we look at self-limiting beliefs that people are grappling with, what are some of the triggers that's causing them, and what have you seen as moments where they just believe that, hey, that's really a non-issue, I don't know why I've been holding on to it, right? There's that shift that happens with that belief to it becoming a non-issue. Now, what are some observations or perspectives you'd like to share in this context, Richa?
Yeah. So, Shripi, I like if I go with my previous example where I said we were discovering the other woman and I, my client, about like re-entering the workforce. I don't know from where, but she she picked it up from the surroundings or from the family, of course, without divulging a lot of information. But she had developed a limiting belief that she's not good enough anymore, and that she belongs in the confines of the four walls of the house. And so it was challenging for me at first. As a coach, I took it as a big task upon myself that I see what potential this girl has, and she needs to like step out of these boundaries of the beliefs, not the house, but yeah, the beliefs that she has encircled herself in. So of course, I mean, it comes with its challenges for the coach as well. And I've discovered like even they get stuck in the middle also. Like there is some sense of awareness, this is happening to you, and then you get stuck in the middle. So through my coaching experience, I have discovered that coaches, when they get stuck in the middle, they face decision fatigue, lack of clarity about their priorities, or difficulty in managing competing demands, or something like that. So the limiting beliefs or the fear of failure or things like that, I identify these obstacles. I try to provide support and guide them through a structured process. I like to help all of my coaches overcome these challenges and move forward towards their goals, like by working with them step by step and breaking the big task into smaller baby steps.
Correct, correct. Wonderful, Richa. I mean, so are there any rituals and practices that you do as a coach to that helps you to, become centered? Because there are, every day we put ourselves through different filters.
Mm. A couple of super simple things, Shripriya. One, being with plants. It grounds me and it centers me and it brings me much closer to nature and myself. And second, I like to reflect and just sit with myself and see or like replay the conversation in my head to figure out what other innovative ways could have been used, or like what worked for my client, what didn't, what can I do better next time. So not in terms of beating myself up, no, absolutely not, but just in terms of like reflection and adding more value to my coaches.
Correct, correct. Now, let's move to the other metaphor that we were talking about, ladder. I think you also brought it up in a number of,
Hmm.
places during our conversation. Now, as a coach, what questions have you asked, Richa, that has motivated your coaches to step up?
Mm,
Like they are in a certain, you need to, I mean, a ladder is important because they need to kind of move up to see some perspectives or helicopter view of their own situation,
mm.
right? And so in what kinds of questions have you asked that has helped them to, step up?
I think, Shriya, more than the kind of questions, I think I would say it's my approach.
Mm,
So I like to keep a super open, honest, and an authentic approach, so to say,
mhm.
where I challenge them. A lot of coaches, a lot of schools, they teach you not to challenge, but there are several, thoughts about it. Like, as coaches, we are supposed to challenge our clients' beliefs,
Absolutely.
and I like to do that. So, I encourage people to take risks and get out of their comfort zones and nudge them towards, go for it, or like it's meant for you, something like that. So, and they do that because they feel supported, they feel encouraged and empowered to explore new possibilities and step out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
So I would say, just simply in a simple words, Rogerian approach. So by creating a safe and a non-judgmental environment where they can freely and openly express themselves, experiment with different ideas, they become more willing to take calculated risks and embrace maybe growth opportunities for themselves.
Correct, correct. Today, I don't know. I mean, while we're talking, you're sitting in a different continent. You're sitting in the US, and then, so do you see any difference in the way cultures approach um, this entire development process, Richa?
Absolutely. Definitely. I think culture plays a huge role. And so we are all an average of the people we hang out with. And usually we hang out with people from our own culture, our own type of people, so to say, right? So it does impact a lot. And slight things, even the smallest of the things, they make a difference. Like, one thing can be apt in one culture, whereas they are looked down upon in the other one. Or people don't understand why you do certain things that is pretty normal in your own culture. So I've seen a lot of those impacts in societies, and even the smallest of the things when we interact with each other as coaches and clients. So just funnily, I would love to share an example with you. So once I was coaching somebody from the US, and I don't know if you're aware or not, but back in India, at least in the part where I come from, so when you're like totally engrossed in a conversation, you're like, yeah, yeah. So you do this, you move your head side by side, like you were just doing that, right? And my client, she stopped me and she's like, wait, are you not understanding, or why are you saying no? I'm like, no, I'm not saying no. It means that like I'm so engrossed and I'm like understanding each and every word you're saying. So these are just small, and this was just so funny. I laughed at it even after days.
Yeah,
So yes, culture does make an impact, and it's as light as this one and something super big, wherein you're not supposed to address something, you're
yeah.
not supposed to call some things out. So yeah, taking all of these
There are
into account
certain,
is
like
super
when we
important.
challenge our coaches, especially, right? We
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
be aware of the cultural
exactly.
sensitivity is very important because there are
Yeah,
certain areas that you don't want to explore immediately
yeah.
unless they give you the permission to.
Yep, yep, absolutely.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Now, Richa, sometimes when we help our coaches climb up the different steps of the ladder and suddenly
Mm,
they are in the top, uh,
mm,
they have the potential to be the leader and take charge.
mm,
And a lot of times people suddenly feel, hey, it's better that there is a sense of overwhelm that takes over to say, oh, is there going to be so much of added responsibilities that it's going to hamper
mm,
uh, the personal life that I
mm,
have certain standards for. And so there's a sense of doubt and says, it's better to be the leader's right hand man or the right hand woman rather than, being the leader itself. There's suddenly a sense of doubt or a sense of gray that comes over when they're especially in the top of the
mm.
ladder, and we've helped them go there. So
Yeah.
how do you help your coaches resolve this fear of heights?
Hmm. So I think it's tricky because what they're experiencing, and rightly so, from whatever they've been through in their corporate journey. So I like to help them resolve or work with this fear by maybe employing techniques such as gradual exposure, or maybe cognitive restructuring and goal setting, and again taking baby steps. I always go back to taking baby steps, because then the fear also, of course, reduces, and you're not exposed to something so big so soon. So,
Mm,
by identifying and challenging irrational beliefs or exploring coping strategies, again, super important,
mm,
and providing support, encouragement, I think I assist them in gradually overcoming their fear, rather than being gung ho about it and, oh, let's start working on it. No, so you need to be gradual in your approach. That's what I feel, and building their confidence in their abilities. So they sometimes they just need somebody to hear them and validate them for who they are, and that's where coaches come in as sounding boards maybe at times. So additionally, I think I also recommend seeking, of course, professional therapy or support if needed, if I see the fear which is beyond coaching or something like that. But mostly, I think doing all of the above that I said really helps, at least all of the cases that I have dealt with.
correct, correct, correct. I mean, helping, I like what you said about, uh, help the goals, help them to, take step by step approaches to reach there. But what I've often seen as a coach,
Mm,
sometimes when we initially start off in the journey, obviously setting those aspirational smart goals become a very crucial aspect of the
mm,
progress itself.
mm,
But I've often seen that people bring goals that are really achievable. And that's when
mm,
I challenge them to say, hey, let's make
mm.
achievable aspirational. As you rightly said, you would challenge them to push the boundaries. But,
Yeah.
there's a struggle because sometimes
Mm,
they bring, especially in today's context, a lot of coaching is organizational process driven, and you end up getting a coach and you're working with the coach, and here as a coach we really come with the belief that every person in front of us has immense potential, and it's our job to help them discover it and
mm.
move forward. So we every person is like a new sapling for us, right? And we want that
Yeah.
growth to happen fast, whereas in
Mm,
nature a flower, a bud may look like it's going to flower today, but it may take a couple of days. So
mm,
you don't do anything about it then, you're just waiting for
mm,
it to gradually flower. But when it comes
mm.
to people, we are often waiting for them to flower immediately, shine, and that's the intent we bring on board as well.
We
And
become impatient.
yeah, we become impatient, and then we see our coaches bring in some, less, to us it looks less challenging, to them it feels like a goal is done. But when we explore and find, or go a little deeper to help them say, hey, is this really a goal that is important
Mm,
for you, or is there something that you need to, kind of make it more expanded in nature, right?
mm, mm,
And how have you seen your coaches or the leaders that you work with address this particular, it's like it's a little bit of a, I brought a goal to the session, that's what it's been asked for, and why is there a challenge, right? And why should I stretch? Because there is a baggage that they all carry and come. So how have
mm,
you handled such situations, Richa?
mm. So I think I would say that I've worked with people who have been like really high achievers, and I have not, in my experience, I have not dealt with a lot of people who would bring, at least not the like C-suite people or the executives, but definitely I've worked with people wherein they feel like, oh, even if at the end of the session I get 3 ways to improve my communication or my like personality, how can I build a better personality, I would be happy. So in that case, I think I totally resonate with what you're saying, and I'm like, no, I mean, you need to think bigger. And at this pace, it might take you forever to reach where you want to go. So yeah, I think what I do in that case is ask reflective questions and kind of again be a mirror and kind of show it to them that what they are asking for and from themselves. Like my job is just to be a co-passenger, right? They are in the driver's seat. So I just try to show them the mirror and make them realize like you could use this time for much bigger things, and then there's no point converging to a smaller goal. So a couple of times they've said like no, this is how they want to start, and they're like scared to even take the baby steps. Then I think I just support them.
Yeah.
And whereas a couple of times I've seen that also happen where people say you're absolutely right, I think what we worked on in the last session is enough to answer my this goal, and then we work on like bigger things. Oh,
Yeah.
let me see what else can I do, or like how else can I work on something bigger.
Yes, yes. I like what you said, like helping them to, showing the mirror and do they really like what they see in the
Yeah.
mirror? Sometimes, and oftentimes, I know people when they see the mirror and in a very supporting and I would nurturing manner, when we show it to them, they just want to perhaps look even better. And that it
Mm.
comes automatically, right? It's like once again, like the principles of influence. So when you say something like you don't do it and then people want to do it and that kinds of those
Yeah,
situations,
absolutely.
right, show up.
Mm.
One thing. Wonderful. Richa, I wanted to check on like today, every person who comes as a
Mm.
coach or the leader sitting in front of us is always navigating the complexities of the environment all around them. The pace of change is very fast. And sometimes human beings, we like to take change in a certain manner. I mean, we come with that background, right? Because
Mm.
we've seen that in our families, or we've seen. So we're not. A lot of us are not immediately like, yes, I'll jump and take on that change. It's not very often
Mm.
that you have that mindset, unless it's a cultivated mindset to say, yeah, I'll do it. So there's a lot of choppy seas all around us all the time. So how do you help your coaches navigate the choppy seas? I mean, if you have to be like a lifeboat or a lighthouse.
Mm. Mm. I love that analogy. Yeah, so I think it happens a number of times, and everybody is navigating their choppy seas, so to say. So I love to be there and provide a steady presence, first of all. That's foremost important for me. And I offer guidance and help them develop resilience and coping strategies, again, because everybody needs to have that fallback option. I assist them in identifying potential obstacles so that they're better prepared, and brainstorming solutions, encouraging them to probably stay focused on their goals, while adapting to the choppy waters and changing circumstances. I also think that offering support, validation, very important, and encouragement to help them weather the storm um, would help them stay on course and probably keep moving them towards their desired outcomes.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, this is good, Richa, where I think in the last 20 minutes we've had a conversation where it kind of helps an individual, watching this video segment to kind of understand what really is this process of coaching all about, and it's also
Mm.
about what roles. I mean, everybody has an opportunity to self-coach, or they have
Mm.
opportunity to coach another person on the job,
We
or
do it all the time.
do it all the time, exactly.
Yeah.
So there is more the world can achieve with a coaching approach, isn't it? Rather than any other approaches which reduces the choice of the other individual or the other
Mm.
the person we are working with. So I think it's good that we've had a conversation, and I should say thank you very much, Richa, for helping understand where how what your thinking is, because we've all been working as coaches for a while now. So it's good to have this conversation to kind of bring us back to, I think somewhere it brought back some of the elements of what we're there to do. And I think
Yeah.
it will be a great value addition to people listening as well. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Richa. It's been such a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you and having more such conversations soon again in the future.
Wonderful. Wonderful.